Hi there. Was that bad? I'm Yolanda.
I'm a shaman.
We're the Connected Relationship.
We are.
Yeah. We offer couples communication workshops, couples coaching, and eventually we will offer couples retreats.
Yeah, someday when the world's not ending.
when we're all vaccinated.
Yeah, maybe then.
And can travel again. But until then...
We're going to talk about burnout today.
Oh my goodness. Are you feeling the burn out?
The burn out.
Because the struggle is real.
It is. It is. I think it's safe to say that, this last year and a half, have been crazy. 5
gazillion years. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, as a therapist, I'm a listener, and I tend to hear common themes. And a lot of times it's themes with my clients.
Right.
But this is just a broad theme right now. We are all worn out.
I thought you were going to say something.
I was going to, because that would be an appropriate
Facebook
representation.
will get rid of you if you do that.
No, whatever. Yeah.
No, right. I mean, it has been crazy, and I think probably the toughest thing is that the craziest it's been is in our relationships.
Well, it definitely doesn't allow us a lot of bandwidth, a lot of space,
right,
to be the best version of ourselves.
Right.
I think we tend to be a lot more on edge.
Right.
Less window of distress tolerance.
In all fairness, I may have woke up a little cranky this morning, which inspired this whole thing about burnout. in all, what's the word I'm looking for? In all disclosure.
I was texting someone earlier. I won't say who, but they said I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and I said, so did Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I just think things have been crazy and busy, and burnout's been a theme lately, and you start taking it out on your partner.
Well, here's the thing. What typically I think what we tend to do is, man, things are tough. Let me dig deep.
Right.
Pull myself up by my bootstraps.
Let me double down.
Right. Get her done, all those things, right? We've been doing that for 5 gazillion years now.
So we've been doing that for 30 some years.
And then, when that kind of isn't enough, then we have our inner critic.
Right.
Our itty bitty
crappy committee.
That kind of starts piping in and saying, come on, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Lazy,
why is this so hard? Right. And then we start snapping at our partners.
Well, and that's all well and good, except it starts coming out. Right. And I don't know, I'll just speak for myself. We find ourselves saying things to the people that we care most about. Normally the things that we would say to ourselves, they start coming out, and you're like, whoa, that did not sound very lovely.
Right.
I'm a nice person. That didn't sound like a nice person.
That didn't sound like something I would say.
And I think a lot of times we don't recognize that that's kind of our internal dialogue just coming out.
Right. And that's a good sign of burnout.
That is.
When you start to snap at each other.
Yep.
I think that's a good sign of just life is kind of overwhelming you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair. So the question is, what if we started doing things a little bit differently?
Right.
Compassion is an inside job, and if we want to be kind and generous and loving and supportive and witty and lovely
and loving
to the people around us on the outside, it kind of starts with doing that.
Right. It has to kind of start with a little self-compassion there, huh?
Yeah. And a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh, that's really hokey and woo-woo. And I know that I did too when I first heard the word, the phrase self-compassion. But you and I have both been really honing a meditation practice, and that's really been ingrained in each of our meditation practice. And several years ago, I was introduced to Kristen Neff's work. What were you going to say?
Nothing. It wasn't very nice.
About self-compassion?
No, about
meditation. Oh.
I was going to say, I went to meditate this morning. You were like, go away.
Yes. Because I was already on round 2 of trying to meditate.
Fair enough.
So self-compassion really starts with like that moment of recognizing like, oh gosh, this is tough. Like being a human right now is a little challenging, in case no one has am I the only one who's noticing this right now?
Right. It is. No, it is. And
so it starts with that mindful piece, and it starts in the second step of self-compassion is the common humanity. Like, I'm not alone. Like, we're all exhausted right now. It's hard for all of us.
Right.
And then, directing kind words to ourselves, or being a good friend to ourselves is some different ways that I've heard it phrased. But basically, talk to yourself like you would talk to someone that you care a lot about, or a child, or a pet, So that might sound like, yeah, this is really tough.
Yeah.
Pretty tired. Maybe I should rest.
Take a breath before you kind of just snap off.
Take a breath. Right? Or, we'll get through this, but maybe right now what we need is to rest.
Well, right. And I mean, the fact of the matter is we're always going to have to deal with these times. We're always going to have to deal with, being
if it's not a global pandemic, then it's something else.
But even life before that was stressful and crazy.
Yeah,
it's never. I mean, life is like this, right? Mm-hmm. It's waves, and it's got peaks and valleys, and so we need these tools. Mm-hmm. We need to learn some things that'll talk us off the edge of the cliff sometimes.
Right. And what I know for myself is that when I do that, when I create that space to have that practice to do that for myself, then what ends up coming out.
Right. It's totally different.
It sounds a lot different. It sounds much nicer.
Sounds a little healthier in a relationship.
I'm a lovely person when I practice these things.
Both of us, right?
We all are, right? When we practice, and it's a gift to our partner, and it's really ultimately a gift to ourselves.
Right. It's going to go a long way in your relationship.
Right.
And it seems like such a simple concept. Oh, wow, give myself a little bit of a break, give myself some compassion, take a breath. Right. But like really putting it into practice will really make change.
Well, that if we choose to, and then sometimes we're just kind of resistant because we feel like we're not going to be motivated if we put that critical voice kind of in a lower tone.
Right.
You have something that you want to say?
It's probably not appropriate.
do share with the people now.
What was it you told me earlier? You could be right, or you could have sex. And I was like, all right, I'd rather have sex.
Well, you were talking about a different situation where you were like, this hits up against my inner desire of wanting to be right.
Right.
In a different context.
Right. It's all mashing together today.
Funny how that happens when we live and work and do everything in the same four walls.
Things come out sideways.
They do a little bit, but you know what? Here's the thing. We don't have a perfect relationship. We've never tried to pretend like we have a perfect relationship. So it's not like getting it perfect. It's not doing all the right things all the right time because we're human and that doesn't happen.
No, absolutely not.
It's how do you circle back around to each other on those mornings where
they start rough.
It starts rough and things turn sideways pretty
quickly. Right. And I think when you develop those skills, you come out closer.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
that's been our experience.
Right. When you learn how to go through stressful, crazy, overburdened times and burned out times, and then put those tools into place to kind of bring you away from the ledge, and then kind of look at each other and we're like, wow, let's have a little compassion with each other.
With ourselves, with each other.
With ourselves and with each other.
Right.
And then, on the flip side of that, you're like, oh, wow, it brings us so much closer.
Right.
So, I mean, it was a blessing this morning.
You gave me such such an opportunity.
Such an opportunity
to practice
Right.
self-compassion and compassion.
Look at how it all came in together. It's awesome.
I couldn't have said it more beautifully, dear.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. No, but there is some truth to that.
Sure there is.
Do you have a challenge this week?
Yes. So the challenge is to start paying attention to these three components of self-compassion, mindfulness, like recognizing, man, this is a tough situation.
Right.
The second one is the common humanity piece. I'm not alone.
Right.
I'm not alone in this difficult experience, and I'm not alone in like carrying forward in it, right? There's people around me to support me. And then this is the most challenging one for most people, starting to be nice to yourself in the way that you talk to yourself.
Well, that's hard because we're our worst critic.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So if nothing else, so those are the three magical components, but if nothing else, start paying attention to the way that you talk to yourself, because eventually that ends up coming out.
Right. As I say, if you're talking to yourself that way, you're going to end up talking to your partner that way. And just at least recognizing it probably goes a long way.
It does.
All right, guys. I hope you have a great week.
Have a good one.
Bye.